Fernando Valencia is the co-founder of the multi-million-dollar training and development program Unblinded. He started his entrepreneurial journey at the age of 13 years old. By the age of 21, Fernando had created his first $1 million business. Fernando is now a leader and trainer in the field of integrity-based influence. Fernando is a personal coach of mine, and I can sincerely say that he has benefited my life personally and professionally. Fernando is the guy that has the answer for every challenge you face in business, not only because he is incredibly intelligent and charismatic, but because he follows the principles of the unblinded formula. Over the course of a couple of years, I've paid tens of thousands of dollars to learn the information Fernando is here to share with you today. So, Fernando, I am honored and incredibly appreciative that you are here to give us an overview of this valuable business building tool. Welcome to Miss Biz.
Hey, lady bosses, are you working even after putting the kids to bed but still not getting results?
Are you tired of spending money on ads that aren't getting engagement?
Do you feel burdened that you aren't fulfilling your purpose in life because you are so consumed with work?
I'm your host, Brooke Boltz. I'm an attorney and founder of Boltz Legal. I started my business and in 1 year was bringing in 7 figures and am now bringing in multi-7 figures.
And I'm your co-host, Rachel Boltz, owner of Boltz Media. I've helped many businesses build their online presence and increase their revenue through digital marketing.
Want to hear how we did it?
We are here to help you achieve your goals personally, professionally, and spiritually.
So kick off your high heels, sit back, and let's ignite that passion.
We're Miss Biz, where we're putting the miss in biz.
Let's get biz.
Well, Miss Biz 1, Miss Biz 1 again. Grateful to be here hanging out with the both of you. I believe your 38th episode has gone live, and what a privilege it is to be, maybe 39, maybe 40 on the road to 100. I remember the day when the both of you had 0 episodes, and now you've stepped into 38 episodes, and that in itself is heroic. So Rachel, Brooke, grateful to be here. So much to discuss. And where would you like to begin this evening?
Well, we can start by talking a little bit about your background and what led you to co-found the incredible business building company called Unblinded.
Well, Brooke, it has been, and Rach has been quite a journey, and it starts all the way here. My father specifically was born next to horses and pigs in Colombia. My mother was born in Colombia as well, and they both migrated to this country in 1986, and I grew up in a low-income neighborhood known as Union City, New Jersey. I lived on top of a Chinese food restaurant establishment, and let's just say, they were not the most hygienic. I'm not saying anything about the people, the things, the places, but Union City, living on top of a Chinese food restaurant, not only did it smell like chicken wings and egg rolls, there was also a bunch of stuff that was in the house we would prefer was not in the house. And I like to say now that I grew up with wealth, but not the way most people perceive the word wealth to be. My parents did not have money or an education or identity in the world or relationship capital, but we had wealth as far as love, support, understanding. And that was more than I could have ever imagined to have, especially now looking back. And fast forward at 13 years old, I decided, not because I wanted to be an influencer or an entrepreneur or a hustler or anything like that, I got my first job making $5 an hour developing film in a dark room because, believe it or not, I was the short, shy, chubby boy. When I was 13, I wasn't this guy and all the things Brooke said. I was not born this way with this talent, speaking this way. I was incredibly timid. If you gave me enough eye contact, I would cry. And I was petrified to talk to people I did not know. And the only reason why I got that job was because I wanted to keep my parents from getting divorced. I heard a lot about bills, debt, and divorce. So the 13-year-old brain in me said, I got it. If I can do this whole money thing, maybe I can keep my parents together. And fast forward, a lot of bumps and bruises later. In America, less than 9% of companies ever generate over $1 million. And I had the privilege through some mentors to build my first $1 million business when I was 21. I continued that journey in marketing, influencer marketing, digital marketing. And I went to this event known as Business Mastery with this gentleman known as Tony Robbins. And the greatest gift Tony Robbins ever gave me was introducing me to my coach, my mentor, our coach, our mentor, Sean Callaghy, who's also the co-founder of Unblinded. And he began to talk to me about this integrity-based human influence thing. And probably like all of you are about to begin, I was like, I don't know what this guy's talking about. And I knew in that moment, this guy was either going to be the greatest charlatan in the world, or maybe, just maybe, I had found the greatest trainer on one-on-one and group influence and personal and professional development the world had ever seen, except he was blind and no one had seen him yet. And to me, that was gold, Brooke. And fast forward, 27, 22, 9, 30, 31, 32, we've built a, beautifully successful company with so much more on the way. And we're just entering the world of momentum. And one of the greatest pieces of that journey was meeting you, meeting Rachel, going to Florida, doing a training with your entire firm, and continue to build this relationship, because what the both of you are doing, not just as lawyers, as human beings, as business people, the way you assemble events, the way you gather people together, some of the most fun conversation I've had with the both of you, and especially you, Brooke, is something to do with like little squishable potatoes. And our coaching sessions are very, very far from common. And that's what I love about you, Brooke, and you, Rachel, as you do your music videos, as you do these shows, you find ways to create shared experiences with people. And you've transcended from those professionals in the legal industry to professionals, period, that so many human beings could learn from. But thank you so much for the question.
Fernando, first, I just have to commend you for the drive that you had at the age of 13. Most 13-year-olds that I know, they're making spit bubbles, riding on their skateboards. They're not thinking about all of these adult and mature thoughts about how to keep their family together, how to build a successful enterprise. So I think that it's absolutely incredible that at that young age, you had enough foresight to put together a plan and a strategy to really provide a good life, not just for yourself, but for your family as well. What kind of advice? Oh, I'm sorry.
No, please, please. What kind of?
What kind of advice would you give someone who maybe had some fears or some doubts and how they could overcome those obstacles?
That's a beautiful question, Rachel. And the first thing that came to mind as I was listening to your question were my two older brothers. And this does not answer your question. I absolutely will. And the reason why they came to mind, my eldest brother, Alex, and my middle brother, Giovanni. My oldest brother, is 47. My middle brother is 44. I'm 32. We have a wide gap. They could have both been my fathers. And they paved the way to help me see, what a true family looks like, breaking some of the generational molds that a Latin family or just families have around money and this. And they shattered it and they shattered it and they shattered it. And I looked up to them, and I still do. And I was just with them on Sunday, and I can cry if I talk about it long enough, all the things they've done in my life. And what I would share, as someone could be listening and say, well, I don't have an older brother. I don't have an older sister. I don't even have parents. So I hold incredible empathy for all of you. And I would say one very practical thing, Rachel, because I can sit here and I can discuss the 7 destroyers, and I will be giving a holistic overview of the formula in a moment. But something very practical that we're going to step into the how in a moment is to find a mentor and find mentorship. And that has been so critical to me, because when I got my first job, which is the only job I ever had, I didn't see it as a job, because my mentor, my boss, Julio Bulnes, who owned the photo studio, he was a mentor. And I got the job at 13, making $5 an hour. Now I'm 14, making $7 an hour. And it was the best job I ever had, because I used to sit in the dark room, before the world of iPhones. I know, you think of me in 32 and like, you damn millennial, you lived before the iPhone. Yes, I did. And I loved that job, because I used to sit with my boombox, just listen to music, talk to no people. And there was a moment, Rachel, there was a moment where he called me, and we primarily did wedding photography. And he called me on the office phone. I didn't have a cell phone. And he said, hey, listen, we have a bride and groom coming in, and I want you to take the meeting. I'm in traffic. I'm only going to be like 10 minutes late. And I'm like, hold on, Julio, you're the people person. I'm the go downstairs and not talk to people person. That's kind of how this works. What do you mean you want me to talk to the people? He goes, I need you to talk to the people. I said, how long are you going to take? He goes, 20 minutes. I'm like, are you sure? He goes, yes. 20 minutes. He goes, yes. Like, all right. 90 minutes later, he never showed up. And the couple ended up walking out of the studio, giving me a $4,000 check. And I remember sitting on the couch, mind blown. Remember, I was making $7 an hour, and they gave me $4,000 in 90 minutes. So there was like this mixture of like utter anger and enthusiasm as he walked into the studio. Cause I'm like, this dude's robbing me. He's making $4,000 an hour. I'm making $7. Like what? And I asked him like, what is this? What do you do? What does this mean? He goes, welcome to the world of sales. And that was an introduction to the world of yes. I don't call it sales anymore. And to answer, your question succinctly, Rachel, and then keep going back and forth, and I'm loving it, would be one thing I would strongly advise, if you do not have the privilege that I did, and I say privilege because, there's a lot of shitty and good brothers, there's a lot of shitty and good parents, there's a lot of shitty and good mentors. So I had my fair share of both. And at the end of the day, even the ones that weren't optimal taught me what I did not want. And Tony Robbins would call it effective blaming. And the mixture of understanding the power of mentorship and for the, use of common language, the power of sales, I would definitely call that now influence, knowing that how you communicate with people and the ability to cause yes and have them felt seen, heard, and understood. I didn't know that at 13, but if I can go back and teach myself one thing, would be to stick with following a mentor and double down on the power to create yes, because no matter what industry you're in, what you do, what you decide to do or not to do, if you want to have control over the money you make, the time in which you make it, and the feelings of fulfillment that those things might give you, the thing you can have the most control over, Rachel, is not the world, is not people, it's how you react to the world. We would call that self-mastery. And the most trainable, applicable superpower, as we would say, that anyone could possess is the ability to influence people. So in mentorship and the ability to influence people, if there's nothing else anyone does, and all they do is they find a mentor, someone to model, and they commit to the superpower of influence, nothing is out of reach. So thank you for that, Rachel.
Thank you.
So let me get this right. Someone gave a $4,000 check to a 14-year-old.
They did. They did.
That is
A shy, chubby 14-year-old. And I sat there in like utter disbelief because all Julio had said is like, look, these are the programs. He had already spoken to them. It wasn't like the initial consult. It was like they were going there to finalize. And I wasn't selling. I was petrified. What? Asking for money, talking to strangers? Like, no way. And I just sat there, and I was a cute little chubby boy that was nice. And, I asked them about all this stuff about their wedding. And I don't even think I sold anything. And they just trusted. They trusted Julio, and, his identity washed over me. And they gave me this check. And I was like, I don't know what to do with this. I felt like I was, the richest man in Babylon. And it was quite an extraordinary feeling at 14 years old. That's for sure.
Well, that story to me is so impactful because had you not put yourself in the position to start working at such an early age, when you were still creating these foundational principles and beliefs about making money and entrepreneurship, then you may have had a different path. You may have taken the path that many of us did, which is getting a job and working hour for hour to make an hourly wage, which is perfectly respectable way of life. But because you had the opportunity at such a young age to have your eyes opened to the world of entrepreneurship and the world of sales, and yes, that seemed to have been a pivotal moment in your life that propelled you forward towards doing things differently from such an early age.
Yeah, Brooke, that is so true. And, for everyone, I want to, share how much of a human I am and humble myself for a moment. All the beautiful things Brooke and Rachel had said, how I met Julio, which is a fun story. I don't think I've ever said this publicly ever. So in my head, I'm like, should I not? Should I not? But, we are here keeping it real, and let's have a little fun. So my middle brother, G, had worked for the studio, not in sales. He was the light boy. He developed photography just like I did. And I was 12, I believe, when my brother was getting married. And it was the first time I experimented with alcohol. And I was one of the best men at my brother's wedding. And we were in the limo. I was one of the best men, and they were taking shots of tequila. And I decided to take not just one half shot, I decided to take two half shots. And then they gave me a bottle of Smirnoff. And P.S., I understand that this is illegal drinking age. So my brother is a great man. Please don't judge him. There's a point to this, I promise. So for all my legal friends, please hold on to your seatbelt. Everything's going to be okay. We're going to land the plane. So now we're at the wedding. It's like the vows, I'm the best man. I'm on the altar. There's like 300 people. And I think it was a mixture of, fear of death, because it was like a public speaking engagement. I was in front of people. I was utterly petrified, as it was. And I had, some alcohol in my system. So the truth is, I ended up passing out on the altar during the vows. I fell into my older brother's arms, and they dragged me, literally dragged me to the first, not bleachers, I forget what they call the seats on the church. And the person who walked over to give me a Sprite and a water was Julio, who ended up giving me a job the next year. So that's how I met Julio, as he woke me up as I passed out on the altar of my brother's wedding. And fast forward, he gave me a shot. So for everyone that's like, you have your own version of a mess up. That was a big mess up at 12 years old, and somehow still managed to find an opportunity. Thank you to my brother. Thank you to Julio for having an open heart, open mind, and knowing that I was just a young knucklehead. And when I discovered this whole sales thing by accident, I never read about it. I never studied it. No one in my family's in sales. No one in my family graduated college. No one in my family owned a business in America. So it wasn't like I even had a concept of sales, money, income, no idea. It was life-changing, Brooke. And for me, it was just simple math, $7 an hour or $4,000 in 90 minutes. I didn't need to be a genius to go, yeah, I'm going to do this one.
Well, thank you for sharing that story, and shout out to Julio for giving you a second chance,
Absolutely.
because I don't know if I had a 12-year-old passing out at a wedding that I would have been rushing to give him a job offer.
Yes, exactly. So,
But you know what that tells me though? That tells me that Julio saw something very special in Fernando, because that is not the normal response to that type of situation. So even, despite that happening, he still saw something of very high value inside of you.
Oh, Rachel, thank you. And I give a lot of credit to my brother, who does have my type of personality. And even though I was shy, I also won most talkative in the 7th grade. So I don't know how I rationalized that. I considered myself shy, but I won most talkative in the 7th grade. So I always had, when I was comfortable, I liked people. And that was the truth of why I went from photography to hosting events. That's why I discovered a microphone, and I started putting myself in these places of uncomfort, because I really loved people, and I was just tired of feeling unheard, feeling small, feeling unworthy. I wanted to express myself. And I said, the only way I'm going to do that is by talking more. I know I talk. I just don't talk to people I don't know. I don't talk under pressure, and I don't talk if you look at me long enough. And I just rationalized over time with the whole sales thing, the whole wanting to talk to people thing, that maybe I had to break through that. And that was like the beginning of the journey, was simply just having a deep desire to not feel, like invisible. And I was tired of feeling invisible. And I wanted to create my own identity. I didn't have those words back then, but I was just tired of feeling invisible.
Well, we are so glad that your life led you to the place that you are now, because you are massively adding value to people's lives, both personally and professionally. So let's jump in now and tell everyone, what is Unblinded and what is it all about?
That's a great question, Brooke. And I share this with everyone, not to impress you, to impress upon you the power of this work as we relate and get to know each other. I am, 32 years old at this point. I have the privilege of coaching extraordinary human beings like Brooke, like Rachel and her team, and others like Andrea Catania, who is on the board of the National Investment Banking Association, is 60 years old, and can bang out more push-ups than most people, and is a partner at MSK Law Firm that sits across the street from St. Patrick's Cathedral. I coach Tanya Freeman, who's on the board of University Hospital in Newark, New Jersey, the largest state hospital in the state of New Jersey, who built a $2.4 million family law business. I coach Beth McKenna, who was voted top 50 women in Forbes here in the state of New Jersey, who works with Merrill Lynch. I coach individuals, like David Tyree, who caught the Super Bowl winning catch to beat the Patriots with the Giants. I coach Diego Ibarra, who is the CEO of iHeartRadio for the country of Mexico. And, all these are real people, real names. You can look them up, and it almost sounds like a fallacy or a lie, except it's not. And what does this 32-year-old who never had a corporate job, who's not a lawyer, who's not an accountant, who's not a wealth advisor, who's not a real estate executive, what does that 32-year-old have to give those people, to give Brooke, to give Rachel? That's the answer to the question that I'm about to give that Brooke asked, which is our work called integrity-based human influence. And if I can start all the way to the top and then bring us down to some applicable content, is here's a reality for most people. And I'd love to hear both of your opinions on this. I don't think I've shared this with you. Is most human beings go through life knowing like there's this puzzle that they need to solve. But unlike when you go to Toys R Us or the toy store, when you buy the puzzle at the toy store, it shows you, hey, here's what the picture looks like at the end. And by the way, there's 100 pieces to this puzzle. Life has a sense of humor. So life does not tell you what the picture at the end is going to be. And it also does not tell you how many pieces are in your puzzle. So here's reality for most people. They go through life, and unfortunately, some never realize there's a puzzle. And they just do what they're told, and they stick into status quo. And listen, I'm not judging that, making that good or bad, right or wrong. It's just what's so. And some eventually go, hold up, there's more to life than this race society has given me, to run in. And they realize there's a puzzle. So they begin to invest money, time, and energy to look for all these different puzzle pieces. But here's what happens. What happens is that we find the puzzle piece, and then we need to invest money, time, and energy to figure out where it goes in the puzzle. And unfortunately, what happens is that over money, time, and energy, we end up figuring out that this piece that we found is not a piece for our puzzle. And we begin to be very mean to ourselves. We're heavy to ourselves. We put ourselves down. We think that we're dumb or stupid or unable or broken or other versions of these words because we made these bad decisions, and we're embarrassed for a bunch of variety of reasons that we will not get into this moment. And then what happens is we keep going through life looking for more pieces, only to be scarred by the pieces that we found that didn't fit. So when we find a piece that is actually part of our puzzle, it takes us forever to figure out where to connect it. And our job at Unblinded is not to tell you what the final picture is. In fun energy, that would be the difference between us and a cult. Is a cult tells you what to believe. Believe this, wear this, drink this happened. We don't. I'm not here to tell Brooke what money, time, and magic she should want. I'm not here to tell Rachel what money, time, and magic she should want. I'm here to ask questions to understand what they want, what you listeners want. And once you have at least an outline of the picture, can our work brighten it, tighten it, expand it? Absolutely. Most importantly, can our work give you the step-by-step process on how to achieve it? Tell you all the puzzle pieces, where to put them, how they work, and where to find them? The answer, yes. And we call that integrity-based human influence, which has 3 sections: self-mastery, influence mastery, and process mastery. And with that, Brooke, where would you like me to expand from there?
You spoke a little bit about how you, at a young age, were shy and timid and had to kind of overcome that. And I think that I can relate to that, and I think many others can as well. And so for me, step one is being able to overcome my own fears and have some confidence and have the tools to be able to do the things that I want to do, but can't otherwise get myself to do. So I believe that would fall under the category of self-mastery. So
Absolutely.
could we start there?
Yeah, we can start anywhere and everywhere and jump around in between. So self-mastery, Brooke, Rachel, and everyone. I'm going to define it for you, give you some examples. And then once again, my goal is in every area to give you something applicable that you can use by the time you finish this beautiful conversation. So self-mastery is, so on top of the puzzle, think of the formula as a filing cabinet. Think of it as like that filing cabinet right there, except that it's your favorite. So Brooke, Rachel, what's your favorite color?
Red.
Hot pink.
Nice. Totally the same thing. All right. So for Brooke, you have a red filing cabinet. For Rachel, you have a hot pink filing cabinet. Not like that boring black one we just saw. And inside of it are these envelopes. Brooke, what's your second favorite color?
Blue.
Blue. And Rachel, what's your second favorite color?
Orange.
All right. So for Brooke, we have a red and blue. We have a red filing cabinet with blue folders. For Rachel, we have a hot pink filing cabinet with orange folders. And it has 3 sections, just 1, 2, and 3. And think of integrity-based human influence as the filing cabinet for all personal and professional development. And it only has 3 sections. The first is self-mastery, which is where we're going to begin our journey. The second filing cabinet would be influence mastery. And the third would be process. And we'll go back and forth on each, but let's begin on self. So self-mastery is the entire combination of personal development, mindset training, peak performance, human psychology. All of this fits into self-mastery. What is the purpose of self-mastery? The purpose of self-mastery is to move through the only 2 limiting factors human beings have. And we've asked this question thousands of times, gotten hundreds of thousands of answers. And I'm not asking the viewers, I'm not asking Brooke and Rachel, but I would ask you to think about the answer as I ask the question. What are you scared of? What are you scared of? And each of you are going to have a variety of answers. Albert Einstein taught my coach, Sean, and my coach taught me to make everything as simple as possible, but not simpler. And here's the truth, that out of the hundreds of thousands of answers that we've gotten, if we were to distill them down, they all fall back to 2 primal fears. Number 1 is fear of failure. And number 2 is fear of rejection. Any fear that we can think of. Well, I'm not that. I'm a perfectionist. That's actually, fear of failure. Anything that we can think of is going to fall back to fear of failure, fear of rejection. And the purpose of self-mastery, Brooke and Rachel, is to move through fear of failure and fear of rejection so you can be in what we call zone action, because most business people, most high achievers, most entrepreneurs, most business owners, they ask themselves a version of a question that goes, what should I do now? What should I do today? What's the best thing for me to do? What's on my checklist? What should I do today? And the answer is zone action. But if you're stuck in fear of failure and rejection, if that is in front of you and you cannot move through it, you will never be in zone action because you'll always be limited by your fear of failure and fear of rejection. And there's a lot of things you can do to support your self-mastery. For example, having a deep enough why, figuring out what you focus on, maybe listening to great content like this show, knowing what your values are, your beliefs, the diet you consume. You can work out, you can go to saunas, you can ice plunge, you can do breath work, you can do vision boards, you can do affirmations, you can do all these incredible things, you can journal. And that's the challenge, Brooke. And that's the challenge, Rachel, is that there's so many. And the challenge I at Unblinded have with the world of personal development is that self-mastery is just not enough. It's incomplete. Because you can have incredible self-mastery, but if you don't have the other areas we're going to talk about, nothing happens. So the greatest way and the greatest thing I can do in this limited time window that I have is not tell you all the things you can do, which I just gave you a list and a plethora, and PS, you don't have to do all of them. Just find the ones that work for you. And for some people, it's like going to a yoga class. For some people, it's spinning. For some people, it's like, making unique coffees. For some people, it's like chilling in a cabin and jumping in a lake. So whatever self-mastery is for you, that's fine. But here are universally what we call 7 destroyers to completely avoid that will decimate your self-mastery. And it's much easier to avoid these 7 than it is to figure out which of the options make the most sense for you, because human beings have a challenge. And a great way to exemplify this challenge is the ab roller. Why does the ab roller exist? And what does that have to do with your self-mastery? The ab roller exists because people love easy and they love new. People love easy and they love new. That's the reason why the ab roller exists, why the marketing industry exists. That's why Facebook ads exist. Oh, you don't have to go talk to people. Just put money here and get people back. People love easy and they love new. And the thing with self-mastery is that it's not hard, but it's not about new. Because as Tony Robbins would say, new is the death of mastery. And the purpose of self-mastery is to consistently find the habits that allow you to be in these versions of zone action. So anything, Brooke and Rachel, before I jump into the 7 destroyers, any thoughts or comments on a self-mastery introduction?
If you enjoy the Miss Biz podcast, but still have questions or need advice, we have some exciting news for you. Join us for Miss Biz Connects. Miss Biz Connects is a weekly 1-hour Zoom call on Fridays at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
This is 1 hour each week dedicated to you. We want to meet you and put our brains together to help you grow personally, professionally, and spiritually.
To access the meeting link, visit us on our social media pages at Miss Biz Podcast or send us an email to missbizpod@gmail.com.
Join us this Friday and let's grow the Miss Biz. As you were talking, I was just thinking of something you've asked me before, which is what's the worst that could happen? And when I truly think of that, I'm sitting here and I'm so fearful of whatever it is. But when I really think about what is the worst that could happen, it's not that big a deal. You know, that really has been an eye-opening moment for me when you've asked me that before. And it just has helped to propel me for, okay, so what's the worst that could happen? I could say something to embarrass myself. I could just whatever. I make a fool of myself. I could maybe lose a relationship, lose a client, but really that's probably extreme. The reality is that the most likely worst that could happen isn't that big of a deal at all. And so that's just one thing I wanted to throw in there that you've taught me that has really helped me to come to terms with realizing my fears aren't real and they're holding me back from what I'm capable of.
Amen. And, Brooke, such a beautiful distinction, because we as human beings, we attach ourselves and identify as our fears. And what another way of saying exactly what you just said is that you have unidentified from your fear. Because for everyone listening, let me be crystal clear. Here's what I didn't say. I didn't say I don't have fear. I didn't say I don't experience fear of failure or fear of rejection. I do. I experience a little bit of fear of rejection before even coming on here. I'm like, I hope I do a good job. And I'm pretty damn confident in myself, but it hit my nervous system, but it did zero impact. I actually did 30 push-ups right before we jumped on just to get myself in the right state of mind to just move through that, because I felt it in my nervous system. And what our work is not designed to make that go away, because I haven't figured that out yet. And if anyone watching has figured out how to never experience fear of failure or rejection, let me know. I'll call and buy your program. I'm not promising that, but here's what I am promising is that we have mastered the ability to have it impact us and know exactly what to do with it, to not have it limit us. Because I cannot control the world. I cannot control what people are going to do or not do. I can't control all the world economies yet, but I can control how I react to the world. That I have full control and power over. And that's because I have self-mastery. So here are the tangible things to do on your road to your self-mastery journey. We call them the 7 destroyers of self-mastery. And these would be the things to avoid, to not do, to steer away from. And, feel them all out, because just think of it this way. It's a lot easier to not do 7 things than try to do the million things we all think we need to do every day. I'm just telling you 7. And there's only 7 that as long as you don't do these 7 things, you are light years ahead of most when it comes to self-mastery. So number 1, and we say this in a funny way on purpose, is not taking enough drugs. Healthy drugs, natural drugs, no extracurricular drugs, nothing that comes out of the human body. So we're not saying like put anything in, we're saying create them internally. And these are the drugs we mean: endorphins, serotonin, adrenaline. chemicals that battle the stress drug known as cortisol. Because here's the thought that I discovered in my own journey of self-mastery, and Brooke and Rachel, I'd be curious on your thoughts. What I realized is that I'm never actually stressed when I'm doing something. I'm really only stressed when I'm thinking about what to do. But when I'm doing the thing I've been stressed over, it's never really stressful. It's thinking about doing it, thinking about what's going to happen, thinking about the best way to do it. That's stressful. But when I'm doing the thing, it's not stressful. So the first destroyer is not getting into your body. Not, this isn't like workout in the morning, you're good all day. Because every single time anyone makes a decision, cortisol fuels through the body. Every time I'm kicking the microphone back to Brooke and Rachel, there's bits of cortisol being produced as they think about where to go next. Same thing with me. And how we deal with that is by getting into our body. We're not saying do a HIIT cardio workout every 20 minutes. I literally just did 30 push-ups. Brooke and Rachel were doing jumping jacks with heels and, squats, and we just got into our body, and it helps us battle the cortisol. So next time, and I know it sounds counterintuitive because when you're scared, the last thing you want to do is give energy. Give it a shot. And while you're listening to this podcast, unless you're driving or somewhere unsafe, just listen and go do something. And if you're like, I can't do push-ups, great. Do sit-ups. I can't do sit-ups. Great. Do squats. I can't do squats. Great. Do jumping jacks. I can't do jumping jacks. Do a plank. I can't do planks. Do one of those wrist things. I promise you'll get a pump eventually. You just got to do a bunch of them. Whatever you need to do to avoid destroying number one, which is not getting into your body in the fun way, is not taking enough drugs. So that's destroying number one. Destroying number two, which I would say I suffered from, well, actually it was destroyer three, but I'll give you number two, is not having a deep enough anchored why. Because sometimes when we're dealing with people, dealing with life, and we're dealing with day-to-day things, it isn't attractive. It isn't inspiring. It isn't motivating. And the truth is most of life might not be. And it's all based on our perception. And if we don't have the reason, like, why am I here? Because I want to cause leaders to lead leaders to emerge ecosystems where 1 + 1 = 1 trillion units of value to make this world an even greater place. I'm not here to do a show. I'm not here to do a podcast. I'm here to partner with Brooke and Rachel to bring this content forward. That's what I'm doing. And part of my zone action is serving Brooke, Rachel, and the listeners by giving content. But I'm not here doing a podcast. I'm here causing leaders to lead leaders. That's my why. That's why I said yes. That's why I'm here. And it's a privilege to have this platform to convey this message. So number one is not getting into your body. Number two is not having a deep enough anchored why, whatever that is for you. Number three, I suffered from, and I would recommend to not model my journey here, which is not intentionally choosing the identities that serve your personal and professional life to move your mission forward. What does that gobbledygook mean in layman's terms? When I was 27 years old and I wasn't a lawyer, I wasn't all those things. And Sean's like, you're going to coach all these people. I'm like, is this guy out of his mind? I'm 27 years old. I don't have a master's. I don't have letters in front of my name. I didn't go to a fancy college. I'm not even a lawyer. I didn't even pass the bar exam. I feel unworthy. I feel less than. The identity was lawyers, accountants, wealth advisors are more than me. And, that helped me in a way. It kept me safe from making myself uncomfortable. But no way could I coach Brooke and the people I've mentioned if I always thought I was less than them. And Brooke never made me feel that way. People didn't even make me feel that way. I made me feel this way. Me. No one ever said, Fernando, you're too young, you're too mature. I just told myself these stories and I believed them. So it's not like I had this traumatic experience. And if anyone out there did and got bullied or made fun of, listen, I have massive empathy. I'm sorry. I didn't. And I bullied myself because we're really, really good at telling ourselves what we're not good at, but we're not really good at deciding who we want to be on our own. And I tell you this with love in my heart, you don't need to walk on fire, jump out of a plane, break an arrow on your neck, walk on glass to do all this. You can do it in your home after a couple push-ups and a notebook. This doesn't have to be like seeing a unicorn come from the sky. I've had some of my greatest breakthroughs in self-mastery as I go brush my teeth in the morning, or as I forget my keys, as I go unlock my car and I'm walking back home and I just have this moment. I'm like, oh, that's who I am. So the story number three is not intentionally choosing the identities to move your personal and professional life forward. Number four is not intentionally choosing your beliefs. So an example is some people say during the holidays in December, no one does business, businesses are closed. Okay, maybe. And you're right if you believe you're right. But what I believe is that most people are not working as hard. They're actually available. So it's the best time of the year to speak to people is on holidays and during the holidays because people just aren't busy. That doesn't make me better than someone that thinks that, everyone's too busy on the holidays. It just gives me more opportunity. And I'm right because I believe that, and you're right because you believe that, and you're not wrong and I'm not wrong. But if I have to choose my value, whether people are busy or not, which one's going to help serve my outcome? That people are more available. Why? Because I decide to believe that. And these are the things that we let society choose. We don't choose ourselves. So that's destroyer number 4. Destroyer number 5 is not being able to identify fear of failure. Destroyer number 6 is not being able to identify fear of rejection. And when you can't identify it's happening, here's what we do. We avoid things. Brooke, Rachel, is there like maybe a conversation right now that you're just not in the mood to have? Is there like a certain teammate or certain client or a certain something or certain someone at home that, maybe, left a sock, in the cup, in the coffee cup? I don't know why you put a sock in a coffee cup, but there's like this conversation that we want to have. And because we don't want to fail or be rejected, we avoid. And the final destroyer, this one was I addicted to. And number 7 is deadly. And that destroyer, we call it over chunking. What's an example of over chunking? All right, I'm going to go to the gym this morning, but should I wear a long sleeve shirt or a short sleeve shirt? Should I get my black shoes or my red shoes? Should I wear a headband or should I wear wristbands today? Should I have a bag or a backpack? I wonder if I should do arms or legs. Maybe I should do the sauna first. You know what I'm going to do? I'm actually going to go on the treadmill, but wait, what if that doesn't help my bones? You know what I'm going to do? I'm actually going to go do like a spin class first, but actually I think swimming is better. That's how humans sound. And that's over chunking. When the truth is, just go to the gym, pick stuff up, put it down, call it a day. And this is an oversimplified version of it, but this is what we do. Oh, I'm going to call this person, but first I got to go look in their LinkedIn. Oh, first I need to see their bio. I need to check their references. Let me go look at their website. And the next thing you know, 8 hours went by and you never called the person. You would have been better off doing no research, calling the person and using influence mastery to build rapport. So those are the 7 destroyers: not being in your body, not choosing not anchoring in your why, not choosing your identities, not choosing your values and beliefs, not being able to recognize fear of failure and rejection, and over chunking. And with that, Rachel, Brooke, I kick it back to you.
Amazing. So that in a nutshell is the self-mastery portion of Unblinded. Am I understanding that correctly?
Correct. So those the destroyers are a subsection of what not to do. What to do, we have 12 components, which I mentioned some: finding your why, what's your focus, what are your values, what content do you consume, do you journal, what diet do you have? These are all tools that you can do to work on your self-mastery. On the road to figuring out which work for you, what I gave here today was 7 things to make sure you're not doing to destroy your self-mastery.
So I think our listeners can understand why this is a valuable program, the Unblinded program, because it is so vast. You just explained 7 factors that, as you mentioned each one of them, I thought, that's me. I do those things. Those are holding me back from accomplishing my goals. And then when you just name that there's 12 things that we should be doing, there's just so much content that you couldn't possibly go over it all today. But I want the listeners to understand that there is more to this than just what you're sharing today. And we're going to now transition into the second mastery, which let's talk about influence mastery, if you don't mind.
Yeah, listen, Brooke, absolutely. And Rachel, any thoughts at any time, would love to absolutely hear them. And influence mastery, which is in the middle, is what we're best known for. We and Sean has raised over $10 million for charities. We did over 2,000 speaking engagements from the Walt Disney Company, T-Mobile, Salesforce. We work with extraordinary human beings. And, Oprah Winfrey, when asked how and why she held the microphone for so many people for so many years, is because every time she spoke to someone, she would say to herself, I hear you, I see you, and what you say matters to me. And imagine this for a second. Most people aren't getting that at home. They're not getting that, from life. They're certainly not getting that from their work environment. So imagine being able to be a stranger, giving the gift of I hear you, I see you, and what you say matters to me to a total stranger. That's why we believe it's a superpower, not because we're wonky and like to use buzzwords, but truly, what else can you obtain? I haven't met anyone that can fly or breathe fire. So unless the CIA and the Pentagon is holding out on us, I'm going to stick with my, superpower of influence is like the ish because it's obtainable. I wasn't this. What I've seen Brooke and Rachel do in the time I've known them has been extraordinary. Their rise makes my rise look juvenile in the time in which they've done it. Their level of commitment to it has been extraordinary. Look at Brooke's videos from like 3 years ago versus now, and you can make fun of Brooke and leave it in the comments because where she was 3 years ago to now, my sister's gone a long way. Who Rachel was as a host, as someone who can bring people together when she started, she was great already. I'm not putting any of them down, but where they were in comparison to where they are now is extraordinary. And to be clear, I'm not saying we created that. They were great way before they met me. We did have a piece in causing it and showing them because they committed to the work and what we're about to talk about, which is influence mastery. And in life, we're not taught how to have a conversation. We're not taught how to listen to people. And here's a dramatized example of why most of the typical ways of getting to know people doesn't work. So influence mastery has 4 steps, 12 indispensable elements, and 4 energies. I can dissect Dr. Martin Luther King, Muhammad Ali, Mother Teresa with 4 steps, 12 indispensable elements, 4 energies. And if some of you beautiful mismatchers are going, oh my God, there's 20 things to memorize. Yeah, brother, sister, 20 is a lot less than a million. So most people don't even have an idea how to quantify human communication, let alone distill it to 20 very small, simple, transferable things. If I were to go through all of them, it'd be overwhelming and confusing. And I might just do it for the sake of just having you hear it. But I do want to start with one specific point. So most people have heard the word rapport before. And there's a big difference between rapport, true rapport, and emotional rapport. Emotional rapport is when you're causing, I hear you, I see you, and what you say matters. Here's what most people think rapport is. Most people think rapport is let's figure out what we have in common and let's talk about that. So here's a very dramatized example of why that does not work, why it does not work. So imagine, all my listeners, that you're walking in to have one of the most important meetings of your life. Insert scenario here, whatever the scenario is. And you walk in to the office and let's pretend you are a New York Giants fan, born and raised, like your whole family, you know everything about the Yankees. And you walk into this extremely important meeting and right on the wall is a framed, signed autograph bat, baseball, and jersey from the captain himself, Derek Jeter. And you're like, OMG, I got this in the bag. Nobody knows more than Derek Jeter than I do. This is going to be great. We're going to become best friends and sail into the sunset. And you're sitting across this mahogany desk. And here comes, this person who has the life-changing ability to change your life and business with this meeting and conversation. So you're like, kicking back, you're feeling real good about yourself. It's easy. You start chatting. You're like, hey, so let's call him Johnny Boy. So Johnny Boy, looks like you're a fan of, good old captain, Mr. Derek Jeter. Listen, my family got season tickets. I know everything about him. Tell me, why do you love Derek Jeter? And the guy goes, oh, really? Actually, Derek Jeter was my ex-wife's favorite baseball player. And we just finished going through a horrific, painful, bloody divorce. And I keep that on my wall to remind me not to trust people. What the heck do you do in that moment? I'll tell you, most people go, humma, humma, humma. The meeting's over, rapport shattered. And that's why trying to figure out what people have in common isn't even an elementary version of building rapport. So I want you to hear these steps just so you can hear them And I'm going to focus on one more called level 5 listening. But if I try to explain all of them, as Brooke said, we're about to have a 4-day immersion from Thursday to Sunday this week that we're spending 4 days just on process. In April, we're spending 4 days, 12 hours a day just on self-mastery. In June, we're spending 4 hours, 12 hours a day just on influence. I'm doing my best to give you tangible things, not hold anything back, give you the whole holistic picture and not make it overwhelming all at the same time. But here are the 4 steps: the building of emotional rapport, truth, pain, and yes, conveying and creating your heroic, unique identity, and agreement formation. The 12 indispensable elements, we use the acronym SMALLER QBC cubed. It's integer scarcity, matching and mirroring, acknowledgement, level 5 listening, unconditional love with boundaries, emotional energetic transference, reciprocity, question mastery, validation, congruence, context, contrast. And the final 4 energies are aspirational, goddess, Zeus, and fun. No, I don't have a script in front of me. This is all from memory. And I just eat, breathe, and sleep this. This is my puzzle. Those are all the puzzle pieces. I know how they interconnect. I know how to use them, find them at will. I don't expect you to memorize all of that. I don't expect all that gobbledygook to make sense. But here's one that will make sense. Level 5 listening is how we listen to people. And we're not taught to listen to people. We're taught, let's listen to what we have in common and talk about that, just like we're never taught how to have a conversation with people. So here's an example. And the best way to teach level 5 listening is to teach you all the ways that it's not. As you can see, there's a pattern here. We call that context and contrast, another 2 indispensable elements. So level 1 listening would be, hey, Brooke, let me ask you a question. What's your favorite sport?
Basketball.
I love chicken nuggets. Yeah, that would be an example of level 1. It has nothing to do with, basketball or what she said, and it has to do with me. So that's level 1 listening. Hey, Brooke, what's your favorite sport?
Basketball.
Oh, my favorite team is the Lakers, which PS it's not. I just use that as an example. So that's level 2 listening, where now I still made it about me, but at least it's the same subject. So Brooke, what's your favorite sport?
Basketball.
What do you like about basketball?
My daughters play basketball, so I love to watch them play.
Boom, pause. Now, level 3 listening, here's where most people live, which is, I kicked it back to Brooke and I asked, a decent question, and question mastery was an indispensable element. What do you like about basketball? And she mentioned, I like because my daughters like it and I love watching them play. Now here's level 4 listening. Level 4 listening is figuring out why someone even says what they say. So when I ask, hey, Brooke, what's your favorite sport? And she says, well, basketball, because I love watching, my daughters play. What I'm hearing is that Brooke might not even love basketball as much as she loves being an incredible example of possibility to her children, and her being an incredible mother and being present for them matters a heck of a ton for Brooke. And Brooke, am I hearing that slightly correctly?
Yes. I know nothing about basketball aside from watching them play.
Ding, ding, ding. And Brooke, have we ever had this conversation before?
No. Mm-mm.
And I heard that by how she said her children. I heard it and I'm like, all right, she doesn't seem like the person that's going to tell me the rules of basketball, but she emphasized her children, and the way she said it, I heard that mattered to her. That's level 4 listening. Here's where you start feeling like and looking like a superhero. Level 5 listening is asking yourself the question, what does Brooke, is not just why she answered the question that way. That's powerful. But level 5 listening is, what does Brooke want me to know about her based on the facts and words she shared with me? Because the truth is, no human being shares anything with someone they don't want you to know. It meant something to Brooke when she said her children. It meant something to her. It is a big piece of who she is. And what I heard is what I just shared. And I can sit here and go long enough. And this is why a lot of the times that I'm not going to do it now. And it certainly happened when we went to do a training with Brooke's office, down in Florida, is if we stay here long enough, a lot of times people cry, not because we're mean, but they just never feel that heard before, let alone from a stranger. So that's influence mastery. So much more to do. Rachel, Brooke, with that, I kick the microphone back to you.
You know we're all about that case, no trouble. All about that case, no trouble. All about that case, no trouble. All about that case.
At Bolts Legal, we are all about your case. Text or call to schedule a free consultation for all your legal needs. boltslegal.com. Thank you for not making me cry.
Very well. Very well.
So, Fernando, you are a master at human influence, and that is the reason why I have been a member of Unblinded for so long, because every time that I hear you speak or hear Sean speak, I am always reminded at how much more I still need to improve upon my own skills. And the work of Unblinded is so inclusive that it just really, truly touches upon all of the areas that we need to improve upon as humans and as business leaders. And so thank you for sharing even just this small portion of the program, and for being so vulnerable to share with us how you got to this place and the growth that you've overcome as well in your own challenges.
Thank you, Brooke. And as I mentioned earlier, and Rachel asked a beautiful question. It was because I had great mentors. And the reason why this is not called the Fernando Show or the Sean Show or the Adam Gugino or the Tink Nicole Maiello Show, the reason why our company is called Unblinded is because it's not about us. We just happen to be the greatest trainers of this work right now. But Brooke, I say this, and Rachel as well, the both of you can teach this work, and the level of commitment you've had, we can teach it. We're going to teach it differently, but you're both masters in your own right, in your own sense. And the reason why I have, gotten to where I've gotten to is because I've had, as I mentioned, really shitty mentors, and I've had really great ones. And Sean's been one of the greatest I ever had.
And talking about your mentors is a consistent theme that we've had from episode to episode. When we've talked about our own personal journeys, when we've had other accomplished professionals on the show, that is a common theme that we hear over and over again. And I wanted to have you on because you are a mentor, and your program is a training and teaching program that is tried and true, that I have subscribed to and has helped me grow and develop. And I know that there are so many coaching programs and mentors out there who I just don't know anything about. So I wanted to have you here so that if people are looking for a mentorship, if they are looking for a coaching program to participate in, this is one that can help you. Hands down, it can help you. And it's not the kind of thing that you go for a one weekend experience and you're a master at. They have available every single day, actually, phone calls that you can participate in that help you in one aspect of this massive formula. And you have one-on-one coaching sessions. You have what they call deep practice sessions, where you're actually hands-on practicing these skills with other participants in the Unblinded program. So it's not just listen to all of this can seem very complicated formula, and then you're out on your own. You guys have incorporated and sacrificed your time to be there teaching and coaching people daily in improving upon these skills. So that is another reason why the Unblinded program has been so effective and influential for me, is that it allows me to improve upon my skills and have that day-to-day assistance. So with that, can we turn now to the third aspect of the Unblinded formula, which is process mastery? Can you give us an overview of that?
Absolutely. And, thank you for that, Brooke. What I would share, as you mentioned on the program, is all humans learn differently. And I will give a 120-second distillation of what I mean by that. I'm not talking about auditory, kinesthetic, or visual. Is everyone learns differently. And let's just stick with the theme of basketball for a moment. So process mastery is, in a headline, how you learn how to do anything, period. It's, influence mastery is how do you have a conversation with people? How do you listen? All the other things. Self mastery is how you go to hello to yes with yourself, pretty much. How do you get yourself to do things? Process mastery is how you learn the how. How do you sell? How do you market? How do you recruit? How do you manage? How do you create a culture? Whether you want to learn how to play the fiddle, whether you want to learn another language, whether you want to learn how to recruit, lead, sell, recruit, whatever, there's a process mastery in how you learn to do anything. And process mastery has 4 quadrants: modeling, find the model. Number 2 is time block effectively. Number 3 is maximization through measuring and monitoring. And number 4 is optimization. So it's just 4 pieces. But to go back to how the program's delivered is because every human learns differently. So for example, if I want to learn how to play basketball, if all I did was read books and watch YouTube videos of basketball, and I never went to the court, I never bought a ball, I never played with anyone, I would, learn the rules of basketball, but I wouldn't technically get any better. That's the equivalent of reading books and watching online programs. It has value, but it has as much value to you learning how to play basketball if all you do is read books and watch videos on it. So it's good. And then let's say I joined a basketball group, which was just a group of people that play basketball. Let's call it at the YMCA. Now I'm not by myself. There's some version of competition, but it's mostly friendly. And there's all varies of levels. There's some people that are rookies, some people that are decently, incredible. And I'm going to get better if I read books, watch videos on basketball, and go to the YMCA. But now, what if I join a travel team that has only, 7 people per team, and you have to pay $1,000, to be part of the team, and everyone there is not there to get a placement medal. They're there to win. So you're going to get even better if you're watching videos and reading books on basketball. You're playing at the YMCA, but now you're part of a small, selective, immersive team. But then you're going to get even better if you join an out-of-state tournament where you're playing with the best of the best and you're competing against each other on a regular basis. If you do all of that, you're going to get even better. And then if you go out of your way and hire, Phil Jackson or a, incredible coach to be like, no, don't put the layup this way, put the layup this way. No, don't flick your wrist this way, flick your wrist that way. You're going to get even better. And this is the same thing in life. It's the same things apply. You can read all you want, watch all the videos you want. You can be around the groups you want. You can be in a smaller groups. You can go on immersive experiences. You can have your one-on-one coach. The best way to learn is to do all of that at the same time. Plus, the secret is to teach other people as you learn. And the way our program's designed, it's designed to incorporate all of that, which is what Brooke is talking about, is we have the online courses and the books. We have the large groups of people that want to hang out. We have the smaller 10, 15 mastermind type groups of people that are just really committed to accountability. We have the immersive in-person experience. We have the one-on-one connectivity. And we have the ability, like Brooke and Rachel are doing now, to teach this to other people, which is only going to exponentially make them better. So that's how the program's delivered. And we believe that's the best way to deliver anything. I'll give you one more final story. I suck at golf. I am not good at it. I've never actually gone golfing. I've gone to a golfing range maybe 4 times in my life. And every time I hit the ball, it just goes right. There's like nothing I could do about it. And I went on a date with my, we were about year 1. And I've been dating Martha, my lovely girlfriend, for 5 years now. And we went to Topgolf with, another couple and someone I was looking to do like business with, and they were good. They were like whacking it like 100 yards, 150 yards. And I was like, bloop, bloop. And I was like embarrassed because I'm competitive, slightly, highly. And I was like, I can't do this. My one up in me in front of my girl, like this does not happen. It's not going down this way. And there was a gentleman on the little booth, I don't even know what this is called, next to us. And this dude, 250 yards, 300 yards, just like whooping, just whacking. I was so impressed. So what I did in a super weird way is I sat, utterly frustrated, and I stared at this guy for like 10 minutes in like a super creepy way. I'm just like staring at him. I'm staring at his feet. I'm staring at his hands, how he's grabbing the club, his wrist, his knee movement, his waist, where his eyes are looking, where his face is, directed, the angle of the club, the swing, how much he would follow, just any micro detail, because I was modeling and I had this concept. I was modeling every little thing. And lo and behold, 15 minutes later, I whacked my first 100-yarder, my first 250-yarder, my first 350-yarder. And if you asked me to do that again today, I would have no idea how to do it. The point of the story is I was able to do that in 15 minutes because I just know how to learn. I'm not superhuman. I can't teach you how to golf, but I know how to learn anything I want to learn at speed. And I remember when I did that, I laughed and I called Sean. I'm like, dude, this stuff works, because all I did was model. And that's what I did. So process mastery are those 4 components. And I believe this might be valuable. I'm debating whether to go through the 7 levers or the 4 components of value for ecosystem merging. I'm going to go through the 4 components because it ties beautifully together with how to find a mentor. So when you're looking for mentors, it's like the sexy thing is like provide value. But just like we're never taught how to have a conversation, we're never taught how to listen, we're never taught how to learn, we're also never taught how to actually give value to people. And sometimes it's not what we think. Sometimes value is just sitting and being a friend and not saying nothing and just giving people listening. That's valuable. Sometimes it's giving solutions. Sometimes it's other things. And when you have a mentor, you have a relationship with them. I would call that an ecosystem merger. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole for today. But when you're having conversations to merge values together, there's 4 ingredients in any exchange of value. I'd call this an ecosystem merger. Number 1 piece of value that you could exchange is identity. What does identity mean? Why do people take pictures with celebrities? Why do people take pictures with jets and cars and Rolexes and Richard Milles? It's because it gives them status. It gives them identity. Now, I'm not making that good. I'm not making that bad. I'm just saying that's an example of identity. Why does Cameo exist? Because people like to have other people say good things about them. It feels really good the way Brooke introduced me. And I hope, Brooke and Rachel feel incredibly seen and heard by how I conveyed their powerful identity. And that's us sharing identity. If Brooke just came in and said, and here's Fernando, and said nothing, your listening of me would be different. And if I didn't say anything about what the things I've done, your perception of my identity would be different. So part of what Brooke, Rachel, and I have done in real time is build each other's identity, and we're giving value to ourselves. This is intentional. This is part of what we teach. Some of you do it, instinctively. We do it incredibly intentionally. So one of the values you can give a mentor is just walk around telling people how incredible your mentor is, just like Brooke is doing for me. That means the world to me that she's doing this on her show with Rachel. Like, that's incredible and that's valuable. I can't go to the supermarket and say, hey, lady, Brooke said I'm her coach and I'm really cool. Can I buy these eggs? It's not going to work out that way. She's going to say no, but it doesn't mean what Brooke and Rachel are giving me is not valuable. The second component of value is relationship capital. It's people, access, relationships. And usually a mentor is going to be the one giving you identity. Mentor is going to be the one giving you access to relationship capital. And then there's the third component, which is teammate with unique skill. So what did this 27-year-old give this guy, Sean, who built and sold a 40-person law firm by age 31, graduated law school at $2,700,000 in debt, has recovered over $500 million for his medical providers, is the sole equity owner of a 140-person law firm, one of only 2 attorneys to have back-to-back national jury verdicts in the state of Arizona, the largest jury verdict in the state of Arizona. That dude didn't need identity from a 27-year-old. That dude had way more relationships than I had. But here's the value I gave my coach and mentor, Sean, is I was a teammate with unique skill. What was my unique skill? My ability to cause yes. And when we launched Unblinded in 2020 during COVID, I had $1.4 million worth of sales, which was about 60% of our sales volume that I caused by myself. That was incredibly valuable to Sean because he was too busy speaking, coaching, leading to take, 1,000 sales meetings that year. But I wasn't. I had that time. And what's the value I gave Sean is that I caused yes. And that's what had him see, my worth and want to coach and work more with me. And one of the reasons why I'm here. So for all of you looking for a mentor is maybe your unique skill could be just telling everyone how amazing he or she is. It's figuring out what is something that they need that you can solve as a teammate. And the final component, the fourth, is the most obvious, the most commonly understood, and unfortunately the highest value, which is money. And people trade money for value all the time. Hey, you have a conference and I want to be your main sponsor and have my booth and my name on the Megatron, or whatever that is, Bumbletron, whatever the heck it's called. So people are trading money for all this value. But is it actually valuable? I'll save that conversation for a different day. So that's process mastery, modeling, time blocking, maximization through measuring and monitoring, constant innovation, A subsection of process mastery is ecosystem merging, which is what you're doing with a mentor. What are 4 components of value that you could exchange with a mentor? Their identity, relationship capital, teammates with unique skill, and monetary capital. Rachel, Brooke, back to you.
Well, Fernando, you and Sean both have made such a valuable impact in the lives of Brooke and I through self-mastery, process mastery, and human influence. I know there are still areas that I need to improve on, just to be completely transparent. However, where I was when I first started my journey to where I am today is like night and day. And I can honestly say that my life is better because of you and Sean and the Unblinded program. And for all of our listeners out there, if you are listening to the audio version of this podcast, you are missing out, because I am sitting here and admiring Fernando's perfect hair. So aside from your obviously amazing hair regimen, what is one thing that you do in your daily routine that might surprise people?
Well, thank you, Rachel. I am now blushing, and so thank you for that. I thought I said nothing you say is going to throw me off my game, but I stand corrected. So now I'm thrown off my game. So thank you for that. It is a process to do this, and we'll leave that for a different day. And, Rachel, Brooke, I am perfectly imperfect. I am a human. I have flaws. I cry. I fail. I have fears. I have all these things happen, and I have a formula that allows me to move through it. So outside of my hair regimen, a few other things that I do that are incredibly important to me. I would say one is, we would call it ECD time, executive co-creation and decision-making time. For layman's terms, I journal. And I talk to myself, and I do this every morning for 15 minutes a day. It's one of my non-negotiables. And I ask myself 3 questions. Number 1, what am I grateful for today? Number 2, what am I scared of today? And number 3, what's my zone action for the day? And I only give myself 5 minutes a question. And what it allows me to do is, like I said earlier, we're really good at figuring out what we're not good at and what we're lacking and what we're not doing. But we rarely often think about what we've done, how great we are, and all the positive things we're learning. And I start with the question of gratitude, because it allows me to put those lens on instead of like, this teammate isn't doing that, this day sucks, this is going to happen. I start with, what am I grateful for? And then I ask myself the question that most people don't want to ask themselves is, what am I scared of? And the reason why I ask myself that question is because, to Brooke's point, it's usually a lot smaller and less scary than I actually think it is in my own mind. And then I can laugh about it and I can make it more achievable. So I just ask myself, and I just write to myself, and then I'll say, what's my zone action? And I like to keep it to about 3 things. Of course, as high producers have a bunch of things we're doing through the day, but I like to give myself a winnable day. And one of my greatest quotes, and, mentors who's no longer here, not that I had a relationship with him ever, is Kobe Bryant. And Kobe Bryant would say, I never have more than 1 losing day, meaning he never lost 2 days in a row. So last Thursday, I had a losing day. I just didn't have a good day. It just wasn't working out. Instead of beating myself up all day, I just said, all right, here's my losing day. But Friday, best believe, I'm going to have a great day. And when I have what I'm grateful for, when I know what I'm scared of, and when I have my zone action, I know that as long as I accomplish the 3 things I write down for my zone action, if I do nothing else for the day, I can go home, put my head on the pillow, and feel like I won the Super Bowl. And a lot of times we go through the day just not knowing how to win. And if we're looking to produce and we're looking to cause, it's rough when we're like grinding, and we just feel like we did nothing that day. That sucks. It's not a fun feeling. And at least I give myself the chance to win every day, and I don't let life decide. I decide. Life doesn't decide. I decide how I win the day. And that's incredibly empowering for me, Rachel. So thank you for asking.
I love that. Thank you.
Welcome.
And as I mentioned, I've been a part of Unblinded for a while, so I didn't think that I was going to learn anything new today, but I did, because those 3 things that you just shared, that you journal, were incredibly valuable takeaways for me. I wrote those down, and I think I'm going to implement in my car ride to school with my kids each morning, is asking them those 3 questions, because that introspection, I think, is super valuable, and it will allow me and them to go through my day with purpose and intention. So we have a surprise for you. But before I show you this prize, I have one last fun question for you. And I've heard you, or I think I read this, that your favorite superhero is Goku. Is that right?
That is very true. Yes, it is.
Why Goku?
That's very fun. And this is exciting. So, Rachel, thank you for that question. And Brooke, the reason why you've never heard me is because I just don't share those things, not because I'm holding back. These are just my things. And I do them for me. I don't do them for applause or accolades. And I'm sharing them here because Rachel beautifully asked. And thank you for receiving them in that way. So, why Goku? So, growing up, there was the Cartoon Network and there was this thing called Toonami. And at 4:30 every day, Dragon Ball Z was like on. And, you know, my coach loves Batman. Some people love Superman. Some people love James Bond. Some people, you know, insert hero here. Mine was Goku. And the reason why I loved him was because of his level of integrity. I loved that he was always training hard. He never, you know, thought his talent was enough, and he had all these Super Saiyan powers, as they called them, and he always kept training. He always did things for people outside himself. He was always looking to save the world, and he was someone that constantly worked on himself, and it gave me hope that if Goku can work on himself, then I can work on myself too. If Goku can go from being this way to being this way, then if Goku could do it, then I could do it. And he was my standard of, you know, he was a fictional character, but I'm like, that's just how I thought. I'm like, if he could do it, I could do it. If he could grow, I could grow. And he always gave me this hope. And he's the person I would model when, you know, I would be scared and I wanted to channel some confidence. I would channel my inner Goku. And I've just like he's had his levels of iterations, and I won't go nerdy on you and all the versions of Goku. But I've had versions of Fernando, and you've met some of those, Brooke. And so have you, Rachel, who I was when you met me. I'm the same dude, but I'm not the same dude, but I am the same dude. Just like Goku, when he was, you know, this, and then he was that, he was not the same dude, but he was the same dude, but he was not the same dude. And that's why Goku was my guy.
Nice. And he also has nice hair.
He does. He has really good hair. That is true. That is also a fact.
I wasn't super familiar with Goku, so I searched him up. And is he the one who says that he has a power level of 9,000?
I think that was Vegeta, but yes.
Okay. Well, we have a surprise for you. We are super excited to show you this. We have made a video jingle for you about you.
Oh my God.
So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I think this is our all-time favorite jingle we've ever done.
It is.
Right
It
now.
takes the cake.
I can't stop listening. So I've listened to it probably 100 times at this point. So I'm going to, without further ado, show you what we've prepared for you.
Excited. Please do.
When life has you stressed, Miss Biz has your back. Mom hack. Got tangles? Not a problem. Today's mom hack is for you. In honor of our guest, Fernando, we have the tangle-free hair solution. If you put your hair out at a 45-degree angle away from your body and you start to comb your hair, it will create more of an airway and allow the tangles to come out more gently.
You guys are fun. This is awesome. And you guys are like world champion jingle makers. So.
Yes, out of all the jingles that we've ever made, this by far was our favorite. It was the most fun. And it's gonna be really, really difficult to try to top this one.
Okay.
So we hope you like it.
Did you hear that?
He started work at just 13, a little bit young and a little bit green, a little young man with a great big dream.
Fernando. $1 million at 21, a whole lot of work and a little bit of fun. Some say he's the chosen one.
Oh, Fernando.
founder of a venture called Unblinded. Integrity in business, he's behind it.
Fernando.
Seriously, you don't hear that? Some will say his gift is rare, but not as much as his perfect hair. Not a stray one here or there.
Oh, Fernando.
He's been in love for a long, long time. Stealing hearts is his only crime. Propose already.
That's over the line.
Fernando.
Curiosity is now arousing. A power level well above 9,000.
Oh, Fernando.
That's awesome. That is awesome. I'm sure Martha is going to love that video very, very much. Yes, that is officially going to be Martha's #1 music video of all time. So that is hilarious. I cannot even express. I want that everywhere. The both of you are hilarious. I feel like this is a setup for that and just hilarious. I love you both. I've never had anyone do a jingle ever. I am touched. Truly, truly touched. Hilarious, thoughtful, incredible, artistic, creative, and thank you both for making me feel seen, heard, understood, and like what I'm doing in the world actually matters.
You are amazing. We are so glad that you liked it. And I can envision you when you're giving a talk and they call your name and you are walking up to the stage.
I'm playing this.
Yeah. Oh, Fernando. That's my favorite part. I laugh every time I hear that. So thank you for being amazing. Thank you for being here. And we are just so honored to have learned so much from you today. And if people want to find you, they want to involve themselves or learn more about Unblinded, what's the best way for them to reach you?
Awesome. Well, thank you, Brooke. And what I'll do is that I'll share a link with you. And if anyone would like to have what we call a complimentary business acceleration session, I've ran 4,200 of these in the last 3.5 years with all walks of life, from Brooke, Rachel, and many of the names we've mentioned, one unique individual after another, solving all types of beautiful dynamics and self-influence and process mastery. I had no idea about the music video. I had no idea that I was going to have the opportunity to share at the end of this conversation. So I am unprepared. But because you all have given so much to me, what I would like to give to any of your viewers who take up on this offer, there's nothing to buy in the conversation. It's absolutely complimentary. We just created a course on ecosystem merging. It's about 20 minutes. I'd like anyone that takes, Rachel and Brooke up on the offer, I'd love to give that course to you. We have a book on the 7 levers of marketing and sales process mastery. I'd love to share that ebook with you. So on top of the 1 hour together, you'll get an online course on ecosystem merging to go help you find your mentor. And I'll share a course with you, with you on the 7 levers of marketing and sales process mastery so you can begin your business journey. So Rachel, Brooke, I will share that link with you. You can post it in the description. And for anyone that takes it, please, make sure to let me know you came from the show. And I might have a few extra bonuses and surprises like our 2 beautiful hosts here when we have our conversation. So thank you for that, Brooke and Rachel.
Well, that is incredibly generous of you. Thank you so much. And listeners out there, take him up on this offer. I promise you, you will not regret it. Unblinded has been a life-changing coaching program for me. And I'm certain that you saw the value of what it brings through Fernando's description. So thank you again. Till next time.
We appreciate you and are honored to be on this journey with you. We can't wait to help you, to encourage you, and show you how to grow personally, professionally, and spiritually.
If you found Miss Biz helpful, please leave a review and share with others.
You can follow us on social media at Miss Biz Podcast.
For legal questions or services, please visit boltslegal.com.
And for digital marketing needs, please visit boltsmedia.com. Let's get biz done.